welcome to the Klock Hour. I'm your host, Marv Kennel, and I have a very special guest here with me today. Me and this brother go back to banging on the desk in high school, in school, right?
No doubt.
My man, Shawn Freeney.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. What's
Welcome
up?
to the
Hey,
show.
what's up, people?
How
What's
you
up,
been,
man?
man?
Man,
I ain't seen you in a minute.
I've been good, man. You know what I'm saying? Just, doing the
Right.
thing I always do right now, man. I'm still taking care of my kids, you know what I'm saying? And then
I
loving
dig
on my
it.
wife and just,
I
being the
dig it.
family man that I was raised to be. But.
I dig it. I seen you on the book a little bit. You were Army, right?
No doubt. Yes, man. From 1988 to 92, Operation Desert Storm veteran. You know what I mean?
You
I
went
did
in
my,
the '88.
yeah,
How
88,
did I get
man.
to your going away party?
Oh, man, because I went in on the delayed entry. You know what I
I
mean?
made it to your going away party.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I
That's
was already
yeah,
in
yeah.
in
You were already
'87.
in, man. Yeah,
That's
I think you might
crazy.
have came home
Yeah,
on
I think
leave
I
or
came
something.
home with something. I think I was in
Yeah,
sub school or something. I
yeah.
don't
So you
know.
probably came home after training. Yeah, but
Yeah.
I was definitely on my way, man. You
You
know what I
was in
mean?
the Army.
In the army.
Real quick. That show with the brass and the Secretary of Defense or whatever they call him.
Hmm.
What do you think about that? With that, he had all the brass come from wherever they was at. I thought it was a waste of money, but
Oh, you are
did
you
you
talk?
listen to the speech? I ain't gonna say no names, but
Are you talking about that parade, man? I know you're not talking about that
not the
thing.
parade.
Oh,
This was the
oh.
something that just they had not too long ago where him and the guy they spoke to the generals and the
Well,
admirals and
yeah,
stuff.
but even I might have missed that, and I'll be honest, but my opinion on something like that, even still, even to coincide with the parade type deal, was like, that's not something that I believe in. You know what I mean? Being a military man, our show of force has always been a quiet show of force. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It was like something they already knew. You know what I mean? And we don't have to do that. That's for the other countries. And I thought that was more about the communist countries and things like that that
Right.
did all that and had to show, had to, put all what we have. This is what we have and what we can do to you. You know what I mean? As a
Right.
threat.
Because somebody said something to me. They was like, so how would you feel of going in the battle with some fat girl? Now, I I was in the military for 9.5 years.
Right.
There wasn't anybody that couldn't pass PT around me.
Right.
I was on subs.
Right.
What are you gonna do? They used to have the farms then, the fat farms they called them in
yeah,
Florida. They would
yeah,
send you to,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah.
where are they getting this out of shape thing message from? Where's that coming from?
I, I think they're just like, it's a generalization, as they say.
Gaslighting?
Yeah, definitely. You know what I mean? Because like I could remember being in the military and I think especially once I started getting into my manhood and things like that, I started putting on a few pounds. So, I had to do a little bit of extra training. You know what I mean? And I
Right.
think there's things to combat that. So, you're never going to be in that situation with someone who was like overweight. And even if you were, you know what I mean, they're trained the same way you are.
Right.
You know what
Because
I mean?
I weighed 150 something when I went in. By the time I finished basic, I was at 175.
Man, I tell you what, I mean, because I was an athlete in high school, my weight always fluctuated. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So it was like when I always weighed differently playing football than I did playing basketball. You know what I mean? Because basketball required a lot more running than football did. In football, I packed on a lot more weight to be a lot more heavier. You know what I mean? So when I made contact, it really made a difference. Let's put it like that. Extra weight made a difference. So by the time I went into the military, I was like 100, about 180 pounds. You know what I
Right.
mean? I was about 180 pounds, and for my height, that I met that requirement for
Right. I
my height.
remember I used to be a recruiter,
Right,
so
and
we
that's
had
how
to
you
do
had to make
the
it
body
right.
fat and
Right,
everything.
exactly. So I made my requirement. But like you, by the time after I ended up doing close to 5 years because of the Desert Storm thing. So I
Right.
did closer to five more than four. But when I did finally get out, I was closer to, I was already well over. I was about 210, where I'm at right now, about 210, 215, which they considered
Right.
me overweight. You know what
Speaking
I'm
of
saying?
Desert Storm, Desert Storm didn't have National Guard fighting. They brought National Guard in during the Iraq thing.
Yeah, that was during the Iraq thing. No, man. I came. I was stationed in Germany at the time,
Right.
so my battalion went. You
We
know what I
got the
mean?
call. I was in Scotland during that
Yeah.
time. They
So.
said, "Okay, we got to go." We loaded up and
Hmm.
took off.
Yeah, so you know what I mean, and it was like it wasn't a choice. I remember going through the whole preparation thing. I tell this story all the time, and I'm like, how you know what I mean? They took most of my teeth out of my mouth and stuff.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because they was like, no, man, we have no time for a toothache in combat.
Right.
They
Right.
wasn't playing it, man. So they got me. They robbed me, man, so to
So,
speak.
let me ask you a question. What was the consensus with the difference between active army and National Guard?
But
Guard is state, right? National Guard, that's
that's
state.
that's the understanding that
Right.
when you go through the training and everything like that, when you report back to your state.
You
Yeah,
go
you
to
got the whatever your state facility is for your command, for
right.
where you're supposed to meet up. That's where you go.
So
That's where
it
you end up.
so National Guard is basic. What we call them? A schools. What y'all call
Well,
them?
we call it AIT.
Your
The Army call it
AIT.
AIT.
Right. Your school, and then you go back home.
Or then you go back home.
That's your professional training.
That's your professional. That's it.
That's
That's
it.
what you get unless you
Right.
sign up for something else. Unless there, you got something that's attached to your MOS. You know what I mean, or what they call the military occupational skills.
So there is a difference between those two.
Yeah,
Big difference.
there's a big difference, man. You know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, if it's like when you go back home, like I have some friends that are in the reserves.
Right.
I'm a manager at my job, so it's like I
Right.
have employees under me. So I got a couple of guys that
They're in
are
the
in the
reserve.
reserves.
Right.
So and they give me a schedule of when they have to report for drills and things like that. So that means that they won't be available for them times. So they're not. This is not a federal thing. You know what I
Right.
mean? It's a state thing. You know what I'm saying?
So to me, they were blowing this up to where he's the best man for the job and this and that, and I kind of saw a lot of them were sitting there kind of stoic, or what word? There's a word that I'm looking for. There was really no reaction to what he was talking
Well,
about.
I think the word I would use is flaccid. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Flaccid, soft, not even reactive. Not even reactive. Almost like someone, with a soft.
Right.
So it's just like it's like if they're not, and it's like they're puppets
So
right now.
they're propping him
They're
up
props,
to
just
be something that
almost,
he's really not.
almost like they're
Yeah.
props. You know what I'm saying? They're sitting there. You know what I'm saying? And they're just like propped up, like
Right.
with the fake smiles and everything, and going along, just going along, and just to get along.
Well, you know what? I thought that was a abuse of power and a waste of money. That's my opinion. I'm sorry,
And I
but
agree.
that was my opinion on it.
I'm
I
inclined,
really
and
wouldn't
I'm
have wanted
inclined
to
to
hear
agree
that.
with you.
Yeah.
I'm inclined to agree with you. You know what I mean? Because, like I said,
What a waste of time.
there's better things that can be done with
Right.
the money.
Because
You
I
know what
don't
I
think
mean?
they said anything. I went back and tried to find messages that he said, and I'm going to ask you this. And this is the question that I called and asked a few people. What is the end game? After this, after all of this, what is the end game?
After all that we're going through,
Yes.
you
What's
know
the
what I
end
mean?
game?
I was just looking at I was looking at a reel on the book, man, and I find myself watching a lot of reels and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? And in the end, I always watch everything with discernment. You know what I mean? And I'm trying to, and I don't try to lean. I don't lean left. I
Right.
don't lean right.
You trying to lean in? I get it.
I stay in the middle, man. You
Right.
know what I'm saying?
Well, that's our
And I
background.
form my own opinion, and I form my, and I live like that.
Right.
Um, the end game that I see right now, especially the way they're going after our people, you know what I'm saying, the things that we're losing, you know what I mean? And they're attacking the thing, all the gains that we made through the 50s and the 60s and, you know, in the early 70s, all those gains that we made are being stripped away from us. You know, basically our civil rights, you know what I'm saying? Things that our people died for,
Right.
bled for, were, you know, water hosed for, were attacked by dogs for, you know, all these things that, you know, our people suffered for, and, you know what I'm saying, they're just stripping them away. And, you know, to make America great again. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just like, I have no shame in saying that. You know, the maggots, you know, out there are really perpetuating the fraud, as we used to say. You
Yeah,
perping the fraud. You perping the
perpetrating the
fraud. You
fraud.
perping the fraud. You know what I mean?
Right.
So the end game is Jim Crow.
You think?
The end game is definitely Jim Crowism. It's a return to Jim Crowism because that's when I think they felt safe. I think that's when they felt like everything was okay. And it was like that Archie Bunker song, boy, the way Jim Miller played.
But
You know what I'm
we're
saying?
not the
We're going
threats.
back. No, we've always been the threat.
I,
My
okay.
brother, we've always been the threat. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? Across this planet, we have been the threat.
The
You know what I'm
threat in
saying?
their minds, but the threat looks like them.
It's always, well, you know what I'm saying? They have always been what's the word
They
I
had a
want to
mass
use?
shooting the same time that guy got shot.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, they've always been, you know, the harm. They've always been, they've always, what they say, biting their nose to spite their face.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's always that thing. They do the thing, you know, but they sweep it under the rug.
Right.
But anytime something happens in our community, it's broadcast throughout the world. You know what I'm saying? And the media has a lot to do with it.
Right.
Let's say that. Let's be honest. You know what I'm saying? Because without those images, there can never be those connections to us.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's always like, you know what I'm saying, let's say little Timmy went to, and shot up the the preschool class, 25 people dead. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
John Myers down the street gets attacked in the bodega. You
Right.
know what I'm saying, by a group of kids. You know what I'm saying, and
Right.
defends himself. And all of a sudden, he's the worst. He's the worst criminal that ever
Right.
lived in the planet
Right.
because it happened in a black neighborhood. Let's blow this up. Little Timmy did this out in the
Right.
burbs, and we don't
Right.
hear about it. You barely hear about it. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying?
Yeah.
So it's the climate is definitely changed in this country.
Right.
And right now I sit back, I'm safe and secure in it because in the knowledge of even if they wanted to bring that country back, our country back to that form of life, you know what I mean? I, me and a bunch of brothers were standing around the other day, and we all said it in agreement. We are not our ancestors.
Nah,
We are
nah,
not them. You know what I
nah.
mean? We are not. You know
And
what I
I'm
mean?
not going to in
That
nobody's fields picking nobody's
you know,
cotton and
I'm just
corn
like,
and none of that.
yeah, I'm not turning the other cheek anymore. You know what I mean? I'm
Right.
not that guy. You know what I mean? I'm not sitting and saying I'm ready to get out here and fight in the streets and stuff like
Right.
that. No.
But
But I'm willing to sit up here and I'm going to fight for what I believe. I'm going to stand up because I've always been, I've always said it's better to live, live on stand on your feet than die. What do they say? Die on your feet and live on your knees.
right.
You know what I mean? Because I've never been raised to be that way.
No, I
You know what I
get it.
mean? I've always been raised to be a self-thinker.
You're an army guy, man.
You know what I mean? And I, and I'm from the LHP here in Waterbury, Connecticut, man. You
Yeah,
know
you're
what
an
I mean?
army guy.
And I've carried that everywhere I've gone, man.
I
Everywhere
dig
I've
it.
gone.
It's just always interesting because I travel a lot. I still travel. When you see certain things and you're because of the climate, you can see that you're treated a certain way in certain areas.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've been back and forth down south recently, and it's fine. People are friendly down there.
Because, you know what I'm saying,
This the
general.
new south, right? This the new south.
Yeah, yeah. And I've been to the South too, and I can't say that I've had bad experiences. You
Right.
know what I'm saying?
I
And
have,
I've
but
been all over the world, man. I've been to
dig it.
different countries, and
Right.
and I can honestly say that I've had pleasant experiences.
And
You know what I mean?
this is the only country that really pushes your skin color. You don't
Because,
feel that way in
but think
Europe.
about, you have to think about how this
It's
country,
big
how this
business.
country was founded. You know what I'm saying, and what the founding principle of this country was, and still is, and remains. You know what I mean. And right now, even how they try to erase our history.
Yeah, really.
They're trying right now to erase our history so that it makes them feel secure. You know what I'm saying? Because our history contains pain. Our history has strife, our inequality. You know what I'm saying? All the things that they feel shame. You know what I mean? How can there be white supremacy with black shame? You know what I'm saying? And
That's
black
like
pain,
I
or
don't
black
really
pain,
care
as
for
I would
that
like to
term.
say.
I never cared for that term
Yeah, well, it's what
because
it is. It is what it is.
when
You
you
know.
look at your equal or somebody else's equal, who's equal to you and what you have done and accomplished within yourself, and same with me. I that I I don't believe that anybody's superior than another
No,
person.
I mean,
I don't I try not to use that word,
but
that
see,
term rather.
but that's the thing about how they try to talk, how they
Right.
talk about the woke folk. You know what I'm saying, and
Yeah.
what they trying to be.
Even that term. What's
Like
woke?
woke. I mean, for me, the term woke, it just speaks of the few that are finally starting to see the truth, who are starting to seek out the truth, man, and who are living a life free of mind slavery. You know what I mean? Because for years, even our people don't realize it, that we've been stuck in a perpetual thing of mind slavery. I
Yeah.
wanted to bring my copy of the Willie Lynch letter so that everybody, so I could just read it, a few pages from it, so
Right.
that you understood what was done to us, and
Right.
it's still perpetuating to this day. He guaranteed it in this letter that if they follow
Yeah.
those
I read it.
instructions, that it would happen, that it would still be in use 300 years from the time that he wrote that letter, and it equaled up to 2012,
Right.
that it would still be going on, and it's still going on, and we're still the ones who are being affected by it. But we blindly we follow it, just like we follow faith blindly. We
I
go into it without even thinking about it.
I have a book called The Delectable Negro.
Mm,
These are things that they want to hide.
right,
Their cannibalism.
right.
And then I have another book called The Medical Apartheid. And you know that delectable Negro, they ate Nat Turner. They boiled them and they ate them. So, you know, the
And why? I mean, and it's like, why do I not believe that? You know
look,
what I'm saying?
they
Why could I
ate them.
not believe something
You
like
know what?
that? You know what I mean?
You
Because
know,
it's like,
they thought
but
that they could get a superpower from eating this man.
they probably did. You know what I mean?
They
And
ate him. They boiled him
just
and
like
ate him.
just like I remember reading, about how the dissection of Malcolm X, when when they dissected him and they opened him up and they found that, like, they looked at his insides and how clean they were. You know what I'm saying? And they couldn't believe it. How clean. You know what I'm saying?
I didn't read
Because of the
that
life
one.
because of the life that he lived, man. You know what I'm saying? And he was just so clean on the
That was a
inside. You know
part
what
of
I'm
his
saying?
life.
That was a part of his life, man. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? And like I said, when it comes down to our people, you know what I mean, and trying to find that common link between us all, and you know what I mean. The common link between us all is slavery. It is our history. It is the thing that brings us together as brothers and sisters, because none of us know who our true families are. You know what
No,
I'm saying? We have to think about what slavery done to us. We were all scattered
that's
and
like
littered across
that's
this country.
that's like the African thing.
Right.
I don't believe my people were from Africa. My people come from that. You ever been to Augusta Airport? That was my people's land.
But yeah, because yeah, I mean, even through research now, we've
Right.
known that
Yeah.
we were already here.
Right.
We
Yeah.
were already on this. We were already
Right.
on this soil. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it was like,
But they
like I
show the
said.
red ones and the light ones, and
But
they
that was,
think that those are the only
but that was the
Indians.
whitewashing of history,
Yeah.
and that's the thing that I say, man. You know what I'm saying? Because history is false, and our children are, even now. It's up to us to educate. I say to all of you, educate your children.
Right.
Get out there, you know, find the books. Find before they destroy the books.
The books are
Find the
out there.
books. They're out there. The
Yeah.
information is out there. Educate your children. Do it now. I was just online now. They have educational cards. They got Black History cards out now. Order those cards, you know what I'm saying, before they destroy them because
Right.
they won't be available. They're destroying our history to hide their shame. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So you have to get out there now. Just like I want to touch on this too. I usually don't be I'm not a political person, but
Right.
I see the danger and I know we're in danger.
Right.
We're in danger as a society, not just black and brown people, but as a society, we're in danger. So I'm telling you how important these midterm elections are. And if you don't get out there and you don't support these candidates, and you know, especially our candidates that we know will be running that are up, their seats are up this election.
Right.
We have to be a part of it. We have to be a major part of it.
I
Do
know
not
some
play
people
games
sat
with
down.
this. Do not play games with this. If you don't see and you don't understand the seriousness of what's going on, you will see. Because as I sit back, I shake my head and I say, "See, we told you. We tried to warn you.
Yeah.
We tried to tell you, what was coming, the storm that was coming, and you sat back and you watched, and now you're saying, "Oh my God, how can this be happening?" Well, this is going to happen when you put a felon in office.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When you got a criminal trying to, a whole in his gang of I don't know what they are.
Yeah.
I don't know what they are. For the first time in my life, I'm actually like, I'm not afraid. I'm nervous.
Yeah.
I'm nervous because I'm like, because I'm
That's
thinking about all I can think about. We the people.
that's
We the
why I
people.
asked your opinion on the end game. Now I heard a statement that we're gonna be rich and not gonna have to pay taxes.
Man, who cares about
Somebody
money, man?
somebody said that to me. I
More
said,
money,
so
more problems.
what is the end game?
More money, more problems,
But
man.
I just chalk it up as maybe delusional
Yeah.
or wishful thinking. You know,
So, okay. On that statement, we're going to be rich and not going to pay taxes. Who's we?
I don't know.
Who's we? I
Us.
want to know. No, 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 no. Because we're always going to pay taxes.
Yes.
We're going to pay taxes. They're going to tax you to death. We're
Right.
always going to pay taxes. So who's we? I think the we is the 1%.
Yeah.
That's who I think that's speaking. We're
Right.
going to be rich. You know what I'm saying? Because you're already rich. And everything's right now is designed to keep them rich.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And keep us poor.
And-
And keep the middle class fighting each other. Because as long as the middle class is too busy fighting each other, they don't have to worry about the 1% above us
Right.
who are
Oh,
benefiting from us fighting.
they're
You know what I
playing on
mean?
it. They're
Oh, they're
definitely
playing
playing on it.
us like a fiddle, man. We're being played. How they say it was done so sweet, it had to be a plan.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I I hope that we all become woke. I hope we all wake up.
Yeah.
I hope we all start to see life through our third eye, and we can see past the smoke screen that's being perpetrated on us. You know what I mean? Because everything is about divide and conquer, and as long as we're divided, we're conquered.
Right.
We're
Because
conquered.
I pay attention to a lot going on or a lot of things, and I look on social media at certain things, and you see a couple people that's trying to bring you to that side.
Right.
When you look at that side, like I said, how is it you're in support of someone that has so much infighting going on during their presidency? That is crazy. This doesn't make any sense to me.
It never does.
Because think about it like this: you can't even have a normal conversation with people anymore.
Nah, man. I mean, and especially when it comes down to talking about politics and things
Right.
like that.
Politics,
because,
religion. I
you know
usually
what I
stay
mean?
away from it.
Yeah, me honestly, man, I don't even I stopped even doing religion. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? Because it's just like, and I got to be honestly, ever since I've never experienced such a freedom in my
Right.
life. You know what I'm saying? Because I can think how I want, feel how I want, and I don't care how people think about what people think about me. You know what
Right.
I mean? If you don't like me, don't like
That
me.
take too
You know
much
what I
energy,
mean? They
man.
really do. You know, I stopped. I feel like, as a grown man now, I'm gonna be 57 on the 25th of this month. You know what I'm saying?
Word.
And as I get older, I start to realize that, man, with age really does come wisdom. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? The knowledge that I've acquired throughout my life is truly become wisdom, because now as I pass it on, you know what I mean, and I tell people things, and I speak to the younger generation, especially the ones that want to hear us. I think
Right.
we about to
Nah,
wrap it
you
up.
good. You good.
You know?
And one thing I did was I'm a sub, so
Yeah,
I go into the schools,
yeah,
and I was talking to them, a couple of kids, about visiting Central High School in Little Rock, Arkansas. They didn't know what I was talking about. Gotcha. They didn't know what I was talking about, and at that time they didn't have to put their phones away.
right,
I said, "Look it up." And the young lady's mouth hit the desk. I said, you guys wouldn't be sitting here if it wasn't for those 9 kids. Those 9 kids were brave enough to go through that. So, there is no them without us.
right,
No us without them.
right.
That's what I believe.
I believe that.
There is no way we can coexist, and you're just trying to get
Right,
rid of a group of people.
right.
There's no way to do it.
Right.
The-
I mean, without history, without the correct history, we cannot go forward
Right.
as a people, and I mean as the American people,
Right.
and I include all,
Right.
even the immigrants that are here, I include them in it too.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? As part of the American people, or the American fabric.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because when I was growing up, it was the great American melting pot, and you know what I'm saying? And the doors, and the,
They
and
don't
the, and
speak
the
of that
they
no
don't
more.
even speak of that anymore. They don't
As-
teach that to the kids. You know what I'm saying? The great American
Yeah.
melting pot.
We got
We know this is an experiment.
Yeah, we got to
Let's
wrap
go.
it up. But
Let's go.
as always, like I said, my show was for the people, about the people, by the people, by the people, about the people, for the people, something
doubt.
like that. As always, I appreciate you coming on board, man, and us getting ready to getting a little bit of conversation in. I probably have to have you back up here. When I get into this music discussion, one day.
Anytime, bro.
Tunes in and check out the show. Holla at me. The Klock Hour. Thanks.
No doubt. Want to give a happy birthday to shout out to